Right, it's that glorious time of year again when domestic football stops and the national team take full priority. It's so fun being a Scotland fan right now. It really is. And it's about to get so much better. To look ahead to the Euro 2024 qualifier against Cyprus and the 150th anniversary friendly against them, Gordon Sheach from the Tartan Scarf joins us for this chat. Gordon, I'm so glad you told me how to say your surname before we did this because it's a really cool sounding surname, to be honest. Sorry, I just really like saying it. And it's such a good time now to be a Scotland fan. Tell me how excited you are for this international break, because I'm absolutely buzzing.
Oh, you're right. It is just simply the best time. I think often about that Andy Bernard quote from The Office, where he says, I wish there was a way of knowing you were in the good old days before you left them. And that's why I just keep liking to speak positively about the Scotland team, because we've all lived through periods that were pretty shit, let's be honest. I'm old enough to remember a World Cup qualifying campaign where we took 2 points from our first 6 games. I mean, so to be in a place now where we've won 4 games from 4 for the first time ever for the men's team, we're through the looking glass, people, in terms of actually having a really bloody good Scotland team. And the really nice thing is, they're not even done yet. There's still so much more this team can achieve, so much more this team can do. You look at the age profile of the squad. This isn't the Expendables. This isn't one last hurrah for an old group of players. We've got exciting young players coming through that can be the fulcrum of this side for the next 10 years and the next multiple tournaments. So, yeah, long story short, I'm utterly buzzing about this week.
Are you going to the game as well? Are you going to Cyprus?
No, not Cyprus. I'm still in the process of trying to convince my wife that Germany would be a lovely trip to take our what will be then 18-month, 16-month-old daughter, just me, her, the girl, and 50,000 of our closest friends and family from Scotland next summer. But I'll be at Hampden, obviously, for the England game, no doubt.
That's how confident we are, though, now, isn't it, Gordon? Like, to be thinking we're having these conversations already. I mean, we're actually having them in like February or something like that. That's how confident we were. It was mad.
This is the best part of it. Like exactly what Gordon opened with right there is my favourite part. It's like, how often have we opened qualifying campaigns and it's like a dismal home draw to like Macedonia, and then we get cuffed away in Norway, and then we're just like already 2 games in being like, well, we can still qualify. All we need to do is beat Germany home and away. And you're just like, no, this is terrible. But now we're just like, well, we've already beaten Spain. What's there to worry about? We can afford to go over there and play abysmally.
No, you're getting carried away, and it's just going to all fall flat if we start thinking like that. That's the mentality. No. We need to stay focused. But the best thing is, going into this could actually be the one that clinches it for us. Strangely enough, this is the mental thing. So, Gordon, you can kind of confirm exactly if I've got this right, because I can't actually remember what the permutations are.
Well, I've thought about nothing but.
Yeah. So, am I right in saying if obviously if we beat Cyprus, it all can obviously goes in that. But Spain are playing Georgia the same night. If Spain beat Georgia, then it sets up. Yeah, exactly. So you're hoping that things happen the way you expect them to. Then it sets up this incredible night against England, where, let's just put it into context here. You've got a sold out Hampden, home fans. We're playing in that beautiful kit, and we're playing our biggest rivals in this anniversary match. And if Norway and Georgia, who are playing at the same time, draw their match, we actually qualify for the Euros. So it doesn't even matter what England do to us. We will qualify for the tournament that night at Hampden. I can't think of a better way to have like that party. Would be just incredible. Apart from like a last minute winner or something to clinch it, I just cannot think of a better way to do it.
How weird would it be though for the England fans that are at Hampden when they've just beaten us 4-0 or whatever, and
wondering why we're partying,
going mad for it. Right, this is I really like Scotland. So positive.
I want to confuse them.
This is it, and Laura, you absolutely nailed it there. That is the potential gift that is waiting for us a week on Tuesday. And I guess, I don't know, like the thing, there's so many things I love about that, you look back to when we qualified for the Euros, and obviously it wasn't what any of us dreamed it would be. And obviously it was Belgrade and there was no away fans and it was COVID, and literally I watched it over a Zoom call with my mum and dad and a couple of pals, and then just sat up till 4 a.m. scrolling Twitter, because that's literally all you could do
at
the time. So to actually be able to qualify for a major finals while we're having a home game, because again, you think back to, when Leicester won the Premier League and all the players were around at Jamie Vardy's house and they were watching Chelsea v Spurs. And again, that's probably not, they had a lovely time. I'm sure they had a lovely time at Jamie Vardy's house. But again, that's not the way they would have dreamed to have done it. They would have wanted to do it in the pitch, in their home stadium with their fans. And that's what we could do. But again, the really fun thing is, even if it doesn't happen that way, there's still 3 games to spare. There's still 3 other games that can come to pass. So yeah, it's just, it makes you giddy with excitement. Although I will tell you, Laura, and you were very humble with that, with not mentioning it, but the one other thing about that England game is a certain lovely tifo, which I don't know what it looks like, I've got to say, but I do hope, I can't wait to see it.
So, yeah.
What's this tifo, Laura?
So yeah, so I'm part of the tifo group that I've been trying to kind of get displays set up at Hampden for recent games. As I've kind of said before, it's a very difficult process. You're relying purely on fans funding it, and yeah, you're kind of at the mercy really of what the supporters are willing to donate. So we've managed to get enough money together to do one stand, which will be, I can confirm it will be the North Stand, and that's purely because of we didn't raise as much as we'd like to. We would absolutely hands down love to do a full stadium tifo. We'd love to have moved it maybe to a different stand this time as well to give different supporters a chance to take part. But the long and short of it is the North Stand holds the least amount of fans. So with the least amount of money, we managed to get a tifo for that stand. Not going to give any clues away as to what it looks like, but hopefully it'll be quite impressive and something a wee bit different to what we did last time, which was against Ukraine in the World Cup playoff. So yeah, fingers crossed it all looks okay and it all goes well. I actually also think the SFA are organising something as well for a different area.
Wow.
Don't know too much about that. I'm not going to hold my breath in it being too amazing. But yeah, we'll wait and see. I hope it's not two competing things anyway. But hopefully the one in the North Stand will blow you away.
Wow, interesting. Laura texted me earlier on today, Gordon, about because Steve Clarke's been in the job. He's a very good manager, by the way. He's been in the job for quite a while. He's done very well. I can't believe Laura sent me this Sporkle quiz of all the players that Steve Clarke has given caps to. And out of is it 50, Laura? 50 players? 57?
57, I think it is.
What did I get? I think I got, what did I get? I've got it here. I got 37 out of 57, and there's some absolute howlers in there. not in terms of ability or whatever. Like, there's no negative sign of that. I just can't believe there's someone missed. Have you done this, Gordon?
I have, yes. And honestly, my score was equally shameful. I'm not afraid to admit.
I was proud of 37.
What was wild though is that pre-COVID, it just feels like a different world. I mean, there was quite a few players in there that you're stunned to remember they actually got caps under Clarke. I mean, guys like Robert Snodgrass. That came as a surprise to me that he was.
Johnny Russell was one as well. That I was like, what?
I got Johnny Russell.
Got a couple.
Yeah, Nisbet was the last one I got with it 3 seconds to spare. I was like, right, and I was like, yeah, I was trying to go through the teams, the Premiership teams, in my head to try and picture different players. And when I came to Hearts, he came to me. The one I think was the one current player that I forgot was Porteous.
Oh yeah,
he completely went out. And the one I think was actually really bad that I missed was actually Andrew Considine. Considering the legacy he has left behind from the Euros, to have such a cult hero, and I can't believe I forgot him. So yeah, shame to say.
I missed 3 key players, and I'm pretty embarrassed. But Jack Hendry, Craig Gordon, and Billy Gilmour. I just had a total
wow.
I had a bit of a mind melt. What can I say? But the real niche one that I thought I couldn't believe was in there, Paul Hanlon.
Oh yeah,
Paul Hanlon
I didn't get Paul Hanlon.
I didn't get Paul Hanlon either.
I did like him and you. When I put in McGinn, it gave me both McGinns, which I felt like a wee bonus.
See now, there is a little bit of a gremlin in the Sporkle quiz brain, because I put John McGinn and I tried to put Paul McGinn, but it wouldn't read it because it's a little bit sneaky. I mean, I got Jacob Brown only because I put in Brown.
Oh,
so I didn't really get him.
No. So did you leave anyone out, Gordon? That was a bit embarrassing?
I think Stephen O'Donnell, was actually one that because it was one of the because it's ordered by how many caps they got. You can tell how many ones that you really should be getting are still
a bit
out
of a
there.
clue.
And that was the one that was like 20 plus caps. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
This kind of leads me, Gordon, into kind of some of the team news that kind of came out the other day. I mean, the standout kind of in the news is that we've brought up Elliot Anderson, who qualifies through Scottish Granny, but he plays for Newcastle. I think he's from the borders, but he's played for England under 19s. I mean, what do you think about this? Is it, if you kind
That's
of accept
debatable.
What's debatable, Laura?
Well, yeah, he's kind of played for England under 19s, but he played against Arsenal under 23s. And I don't quite know what this game actually is. It feels like some sort of like glamour friendly or like
It's kind of
exhibition match or something. I'm not quite. I know I'm quite strict on my players not changing allegiances and stuff, but considering that he's played for us since like under 16 level and pledged his allegiance to us, I think I don't know, this game against Arsenal under 23s, I'm not going to get hung up on.
I love the way you put it, Laura.
I'm glad to hear that, Laura. I'm really glad to hear that. Because look again. This is a young man, like you said. He's come up through the Scotland youth ranks. Yes, born in Whitley Bay, grew up in England. Sounds very Geordie, but this guy, he's a proper player. I mean, I've got a few mates who are Newcastle fans. They are very excited about this young man. Only 20 years old, scored 4 goals in pre-season away with the team in America, and obviously he's at a club that's going through a very radical transformation. They're obviously now a Champions League club, so you have to bear that in mind. But he's very much a part of that first team. He's getting minutes most games. He's spent a season out on loan with Bristol Rovers. Did very well down there. I think it was 8 goals and 5 assists in the season. And you watch him play. Like I've watched a few YouTube compilations of him. And what you see in this guy, is some very deft touches on the ball, lovely driving runs through midfield. Passing, finishing off both feet. Good strength. I think he's got a bit of everything. Eddie Howe was speaking over the summer when they took him away to America that he'd come back from pre-season and had clearly worked very hard on himself in his time off, and he'd come back a lot stronger, a lot more physical, a bit more bulked out. So, let's not again. I think what's lovely about the Scotland squad right now is that we don't need to overload players like this with too much expectation, because there's not the desire that we're thinking, shit, we need a saviour to come in here and be the messiah for our team because we're desperate. He's coming into a successful side. So I don't expect him to be starting games for Scotland anytime soon, and that's absolutely fine. I think he'll work his way in, but clearly if he's good enough, he'll be in the team. And I think Just one thing, just if I can set alarm bells ringing a tiny bit. I was reading up on the revised eligibility rules, and even if we were to cap, so say if he takes a competitive cap against Cyprus, that does not lock him in to play for Scotland forever, because you can get up to 3 competitive caps before the age of 21, so long as they're not at a World Cup or a Euros finals, and you can change your allegiance. So if we cap him, say, against Georgia in November, and that's just after his 21st birthday, then he's ours to keep. But 1 cap against Cyprus does not a Scotland career make. But again, maybe I think he's with us. He's committed, and I'm delighted that he's here.
Well, if you listen to Laura, he's already pledged his allegiance.
He has. He absolutely
I know,
has.
but I just think it's such an old terminology.
He put his hand on the national anthem, and he put his hand in his heart, and he sang it.
And the Bible and everything. Yeah.
If Laura had her way as well, there would definitely be blood involved somewhere, some sort of blood sacrifice for any English-born player dedicating themselves to Scotland. But
prove what you mean.
You're absolutely right, Gordon, because I think what's so nice is that we've got a squad at a certain point, which is, it's not even just a starting 11, it's like it's an actual squad, and we've got players that can move in and move out, because there will be players that get slightly older or maybe have injuries or don't want to focus on international careers. That's the point then where you're not bringing in kids and throwing them in at the deep end. They're kids that have been brought in at a time where they can just be part of the squad, learn from the older players, maybe be given a friendly here or there, 20 minutes here in a game once, we've put 4 or 5 past Spain or whatever, and give them a bit of game time. But it's like, you look at the successes of that, people like Billy Gilmour is the one I'm thinking of that comes to mind, or maybe even Nathan Patterson, like boys that came into the squad and they were involved, but they were good enough, and given the chance, they've grabbed that with both hands, and now they are both, mainstays of the squad and really the starting 11. So it's really exciting to have that level of player. And the other one that just keeps coming, a name that seems to be coming up over and over and over again, is Ben Doak at Liverpool, is one that's generating a lot of excitement. And again, it's that same thing. You're just like, we don't need these little wonder kids to come in and hang all of our hope on their little sugary pegs, but they can grow at a point that is good for them in terms of their club careers and a national career. But we've got this generation of exciting talents playing at the highest level, ready to come in for when we need them to.
Oh, look, Fen, I mean, I was speaking as one of the founding members of the Jordan Rhodes Tartan Army Association. And I know full well about hanging your hat on a player that you think is going to be the saviour. But I think as well, to speak to your point there, that it's so clear for these young players now that the pathway exists for them to get into the team and get into the starting 11 as well. You look at the squad, like I went back through the Wayback Machine in Wikipedia, and I was able to find the first squad that Steve Clarke called up. Only one player in Steve Clarke's first squad, one outfield player, had more than 30 caps, and that was Charlie Mulgrew. So right at the sort of towards the end of his career, and you had so many players that were, say, early to mid-20s, like McTominay, McGregor, Tierney, Robertson, etc. Well, Robertson was maybe the outlier, but that had maybe 10, 11 caps in their mid-20s. Whereas now we've got guys like Hickey, Patterson, Gilmour, all 21, 22 years old, all with more than a dozen caps each. And that's a really, really promising thing to be looking at. And I guess just sort of one final point on the sort of players that are sort of pledging their allegiance and sacrificing a haggis to the gods to come along with us. We are a very attractive proposition now to these players. I think the pitch that Steve Clarke can make when he goes to speak to these guys is that, look, do you want to come along and play with us? Because we're having a fucking great time and you want to be part of this. And I think you look at the players that have made that choice in recent years, Shea Adams, Angus Gunn, now Elliot Anderson. I mean, the quality of players that are falling over themselves to come play for Scotland is very, very, very impressive. And that just speaks to that positive aura that Clarke has created around this squad.
Were there any kind of notable admissions that are, players that maybe just missed out that you guys think should have been involved? I know you mentioned Ben Doak, Finn, but is there anyone that you think deserved a call up that's maybe missed out? Or are we that strong?
I think for me, the only one I was slightly surprised at, but again, you're talking about maybe a third, fourth choice in his position.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing.
Would be David Turnbull, just simply because he started the season playing most games for Celtic and seems to be doing all right. So he should be forcing his way back into that reckoning. But otherwise, you're talking about guys that are missing out through injury, which is no fault of their own. And yeah, I just don't think. No, I don't think we are missing anyone. I think we've got as strong as a squad as I can remember us ever having.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. That's the thing with Steve Clarke, isn't it, Laura? Because he just hasn't really. Even if he has put a foot wrong at some stage, he's made up for it. Do you know what I mean? He's made up for it at so many levels. I just think his decision making, you can't argue with him much at the moment.
The amount of times I've stood in the stands about the 70-minute mark and been shouting blue murder towards Steve Clarke, and then he's made subs, and I'm like, why on earth are you bringing these players on? And every time he proves me wrong, and he pulls out the hat, he brings up, like none of us expected Kenny McLean to come on against Norway and turn the game around, okay? Like, hands out, I absolutely love the boy now, okay? He can do no wrong in my eyes after what he's done for us in a few recent games. But nobody would have looked at him on the touchline and said, yeah, there you go. He's going to win us the match when we're 1-0 down. It just was like, he has proved us wrong so many times, and I've got so much faith in him. One thing I'm slightly concerned about, but I'm hopeful that Steve Clarke still sticks by them, is the players that haven't been getting a lot of time for their clubs. And how that kind of then replicates onto the pitch for Scotland. So you look at guys like Scott McTominay, for example. He has played a worrying number of minutes for Man United. I think it was something like 2 minutes in one game and 5 minutes in the other. And then he was completely dropped from the game at the weekend against Arsenal. He wasn't even in the squad. And this is a boy that got linked with so many moves over the transfer window. And then it got to a stage where I don't know if it was an injury, like somebody injured, I can't remember what it was, but then they were basically like, no, we don't want to let him go. We want him there as cover. And now he's not even getting the squad at all. Someone who's such a key player for us, who is then not getting the minutes. It was a fear with Kieran Tierney. Obviously, he's managed to turn that around now, going on loan to Sociedad. The other ones, Lyndon Dykes is another concern. He's been out injured for the last 3 games. I'm hopeful that the fact he got named in the squad means that it's not anything too serious. I know at the time when it happened, it was a knee injury, and his manager did say that it was more of a precautionary. He took him off more of a precaution than anything else. I'm hoping, we've not really heard an update yet, but I imagine we'll hear it early in the week from Steve Clarke when the squad get together this week. Even things like Shea Adams was out injured as well, hasn't played a lot of games this season. So you've got a lot of players there who we rely on that aren't getting minutes. And you just hope that when they all come together, it still clicks the way that we have faith in them to do so.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, when you talk about this group that Steve Clarke's brought together, you know, we said earlier that it's not just a group of players, it's a squad. And I think they have played together now for so long. You know, these guys have played together dozens of times that they know what they're doing when they come away with Scotland. I think we've almost moved past a reliance on club form because we have our team, and that is what our team is. And Lyndon Dykes, God love him, like, he will report for training. Whatever, even if he had one leg, he would report for training tomorrow and he would declare himself fit. I mean, I remember there was in the World Cup qualifiers, there was the away game in Moldova when he turned up to training and was blatantly not fit. And he basically, I think, to be honest, I think he kind of lied to the coaches and said, yeah, no, I'm fine. He couldn't run, and they were like, look, you can't train, you're not fit. And he was like, oh, okay, right, well, look, I'll do a deal. Can I just fly with the team and come to Moldova and I'll just sit in the stands and I'll cheer you on? And they were like, no, are you mental? Like, rehab yourself, look after yourself. You're not flying 6 hours to Moldova just to sit in the stands. But that's the attitude, and that's the attitude he's got for Scotland, which is exactly what you want to see. So I have no doubt that Dykes will give it everything he can.
Yeah.
If he doesn't make it, Shea Adams, look, he's not maybe finished all the games for Southampton, but he's scored 3 in his last 5. I think he's just fine. And I think he'll look, the Championship's a very, very long season. I think there's plenty of games to go around. And frankly, I'd much rather have Shea Adams turning up for Scotland, having banged in goals in the Championship, than having fed off scraps in the Premier League. So I'm okay with that. Yeah. But yeah, McTominay's definitely, he is a concern, let's be honest. And I think I was certainly looking at the transfers that were happening over the summer and thinking, these players have got to have the Euros finals in the back of their mind. And I think certainly when it comes to January, if there's still Scotland players who aren't necessarily getting the game time they feel they should, I think you'll see a few push through moves in January because they'll think, I need to get in Steve Clarke's squad.
Definitely. Just a wee note on, obviously we were talking about players not getting game time, just to kind of highlight, there was a lot of successful kind of stories coming out of the camp as well at the weekend. For example, Nathan Patterson set up Everton's equaliser against Sheffield United.
Lovely
Kevin
cross.
Nisbet scored the opener, the opening goal in Millwall's 1-1 draw as well. Billy Gilmour is absolutely bossing it at Brighton right now. So that is very exciting. European side, Brighton as well. He just was outstanding in their game. So that there's definitely players there that are doing very well. So it's not all doom and gloom. It's not just, our players aren't playing, they're not getting picked for their teams. Some are doing absolutely fantastic at the same time.
Yeah, I still think that McTominay is an elite level footballer, and I think even though he's not playing or getting minutes for Man United, he'll still go into that Scottish national setup and be absolutely fine. I think you reach a level at some point and you don't really drop off just because you're not playing, because he'll still be playing with world-class players in training at Man United. But I'm just going to wrap up quickly by just quickly getting a prediction from Cyprus and a prediction against England, and I'll start with you, Laura.
Oh, why'd you start with me?
Because I just want to laugh.
I think it'll be a stuffy 1-0 win away to Cyprus, and I'm going to go for a 1-1 against England.
Wow. Finn?
I think we'll get the win in Cyprus. I think it will be clinical, nothing over the top. I think 2-0 to Scotland. And I think with the news filtering through that it's a dire 0-0 draw with nobody able to hit the target in Georgia-Norway, I'm going for Scotland 6, England 1.
I love that. I should have started with you. And go on, Gordon. You can have the final say.
So I think Friday night in Larnaca, it's apparently going to be 31 degrees at kickoff. It's going to be a tough old night, but I think 2-0 before half time, and then we could put the feet up in the second half. And then against England, I'm going for a 1-0 win. You know, we're a Nations League A team.
Wow.
It's time to test ourselves against the best. So yes.
I can't wait for that.
It's a nice opportunity for England to get the chance to test themselves against the best as well. So.
100%. I smell a Harry Maguire own goal. 100%.
Come on. Love to see it.
Love it.